Wide shot. A luxury car is stalled outside a five-star auto expo in Atlanta. Paparazzi are everywhere. A red carpet rolls out. Guests arrive in suits and gowns. The CEO, James Preston, is fuming next to his dead Bentley. Why is this thing still dead? Where's the real mechanic? Don't bring me some grease monkey from the street. This isn't a bicycle. Camera pans to a black man in overalls, oil-stained hands standing calm. His eyes scan the CEO silently, then the car. If you're so smart, then maybe you should fix it yourself. Everyone gasps. A few people take out their phones. The CEO smirks, steps aside mockingly. Fine, go ahead. Show us what Southside genius looks like. Mechanic kneels, lifts the hood, touches just 3 parts. Within 15 seconds, the engine growls awake like a beast. The sound echoes. The VIP guests pause mid-step. The CEO's face goes white. He leans in and freezes when he reads the name tag M. Ellington. No, it can't be. Marcus Ellington's dead. The mechanic locks eyes with him, expression unreadable. Then he says, quietly, coldly, "You buried me, but now I've come to bury you." Boom! Screen cuts to black. Words appear in bold red. The mechanic wasn't there to fix a car. He was there to break an empire. The sun hit the chrome of a stalled Bentley Continental GT, its hood raised like a white flag in the middle of Prestige Motors' private auto expo. 100 guests walked the carpet with wine glasses, music played softly from jazz quartets, and luxury logos sparkled on banners like royalty. But the CEO, James Preston, wasn't enjoying the show. He stood beside the Bentley with a look of murder on his face, barking orders at every mechanic in reach. The car wouldn't start. The press was circling. A tech billionaire from San Francisco had flown in specifically to test drive it. Now it sat lifeless, embarrassing James in front of everyone. "Where's that new guy? The one from Southside?" James snapped. "Malik?" a junior mechanic replied, nervous. "He's on lunch." "Lunch?" James spat. "He can eat after he fixes my damn car." Moments later, Malik Ellington appeared from the corner of the garage, wiping grease from his hands with a shop towel. He was tall, quiet, with calm brown eyes and the kind of expression that didn't change under pressure. He wore simple coveralls, his name stitched neatly over the pocket, M. Ellington. James looked him up and down, unimpressed. "Let me get this straight," he said loudly, drawing attention from nearby guests. "My $300,000 Bentley is dead, and the only expert available is a guy who probably fixed lawnmowers before he could vote?" Laughter rippled uncomfortably around the onlookers. A few PR girls turned away, embarrassed. Malik didn't react. He stepped toward the car. "I can take a look," he said calmly. "If it's a sensor issue or a software fail, I'll know in less than a minute." James scoffed. "If you're so smart," he sneered, "then fix it. Or should I call someone who didn't learn engines behind a gas station?" A hush fell. Malik gave a single nod and approached the hood. His movements were precise, efficient. He didn't fumble. He didn't guess. In 10 seconds, he disconnected a loose throttle sensor, rechecked a second wire behind the fuse box, and tapped 3 buttons on the diagnostic screen. Then, without a word, he waved at the assistant. "Turn it over." The Bentley's engine roared like thunder, clean, powerful, alive. Gasps broke out. Phones were raised. People clapped instinctively. James Preston stared in frozen silence. But it wasn't the fix that scared him. It was the name on the mechanic's jumpsuit, Ellington, that knocked the blood from his face. That can't be Marcus Ellington's brother. Or worse, Marcus himself. 7 years earlier, James Preston had once stood beside another black man in a suit, sharp, educated, and brilliant. Dr. Marcus Ellington, an MIT grad, presented the prototype for a self-adaptive electric engine at a startup summit in Chicago. Preston, young and greedy, offered him $5 million to partner with Prestige Motors. Marcus refused. He wanted equity, ownership, credit. James didn't like that. 1 month later, Marcus Ellington's lab was raided by compliance agents. His funding was pulled. His patents disappeared into a black hole. The story vanished quietly, and so did Marcus, until now. Back at the dealership, President James was sweating. Literally. His fingers trembled as he pointed to Malik's chest. Ellington, that name, what's your full name? Malik calmly wiped his hands. You'll remember it when it matters. And just like that, he walked away. Inside the garage, later that day, the other mechanics huddled around phones and whispered, Did you see what he did with that engine? Man barely looked at it. I swear he heard it breathing. Ellington, wasn't that the guy who almost reinvented hybrid motors? I heard the CEO stole his tech and buried it. That's why dude disappeared. Even Karen Daniels, the head of PR, noticed the tremor in James's voice as he called legal. He wasn't asking how to reward Malik. He was asking how to find out what he knows. And just like that, the battle lines were quietly drawn. Malik had arrived with no press, no announcements, no claims. But his presence alone was a ticking bomb, one that James knew could blow his whole empire apart. All Malik had to do was keep showing up. James Preston couldn't sleep. He hadn't since the incident at the expo. His mind kept replaying the sound of the engine firing back to life. But more than that, it kept replaying that name, Ellington. He sat at his mahogany desk, staring at an old photo in a locked drawer, one he hadn't looked at in years. It was from the 2016 Tech Innovator Summit. Him shaking hands with Dr. Marcus Ellington, the MIT genius who designed a groundbreaking hybrid drive system. Marcus was poised to change the world, until James did what James always did, take what he couldn't build and bury the one who could. He forged documents, bribed officials, and claimed patent priority on Marcus's engine under a corporate shell. Then he smeared Marcus with rumors, fraud, tax evasion, academic dishonesty. The press had eaten it up, and Marcus vanished. But now here was Ellington working in his garage, not speaking, not suing, just watching and fixing and waiting. In the garage, whispers grew louder. Mechanics had started pulling up old articles, tech blogs, and blurry YouTube clips. One showed Marcus Ellington demonstrating his design, wearing the same quiet expression his new hire wore now. That's him. That has to be him. Karen Daniels, head of PR, approached James. Sir, I think he's here on purpose. To do what? You mocked him in public. He fixed your car in seconds. People saw. They're talking. If that really is Marcus Ellington, he doesn't need revenge. He's building credibility, right here, under your nose. James stood up, his voice sharp. Get his file, everything, birth certificate, address. I want to know who the hell he is and what he wants. James found Malik alone in the garage, organizing tools with surgical precision. Enough games, James said coldly. What do you want? You walk in here like a ghost, fix a car in front of a senator, and wear that name like a dare. You think I'm stupid? Malik didn't even look at him. No, I think you're afraid. Afraid of what? That the truth doesn't need a lawsuit. It just needs an audience. James tried to laugh, but it came out hollow. You think people care about something from 7 years ago? They don't. They care about results. Malik finally turned. His eyes were calm, but his voice was ice. Good, then they'll care when I show them the real engine, the one you stole. James's hands clenched. You're bluffing. Malik reached into his jacket and dropped a USB drive on the metal table. It clinked louder than a gunshot. This is your countdown. And then he walked away. Breaking, Atlanta mechanic identified as disgraced MIT genius Marcus Ellington. The USB drive that Malik had left behind? It didn't go to a lawyer. It went to the press. Karen Daniels, unable to live with the lie, had forwarded it to a journalist at the Atlantic Times, time-stamped patent schematics, original emails between Marcus and James, video recordings of engine prototypes, internal memos where James's legal team plotted to bury the scandal. Everything. Within hours, headlines exploded. CEO James Preston accused of intellectual theft. The return of a genius from Greece to greatness, mechanic who outsmarted a CEO. Protesters showed up outside Prestige Motors with signs reading "Give credit where it's due" and "Ellington invented it." Sponsors pulled out, stock dropped, shareholders panicked. But James's nightmare was just beginning. 3 days later, New York Auto Tech Summit. James had been scheduled to speak at the biggest innovation summit of the year, but when he arrived, his name was replaced on the itinerary. The new keynote? Dr. Marcus Ellington, on truth, tech, and redemption. A thunderous standing ovation welcomed Malik, now suited in deep navy, face composed, but eyes burning with quiet power. He stepped to the mic and spoke slowly. I didn't come back for revenge. I came back because the truth always finds the surface. You can't bury a spark, and you can't fake invention forever. He raised the USB drive before the crowd. This is the engine that was stolen from me, and today, I give it back to the people who need it most. Clean, affordable, American-made innovation. Back in Atlanta, James watched alone. His office, once gleaming, was empty. The board had voted to suspend him pending investigation. His emails bounced. Phones stopped ringing. His name? Poison. As the camera zoomed in on Marcus accepting the Innovator of the Year award, James saw something worse than rage. Respect. Marcus had earned it back, not with lawsuits or slander, but by proving he still had what James never did. Real brilliance. 2 months later, Southside Community Workshop. Marcus walks through a local garage, now transformed into a tech training hub for underprivileged teens. Kids cheer as he teaches them how to build engines using 3D printed parts. A reporter stops him outside. Why here? Why not go back to Silicon Valley? Marcus smiles. Because this is where real mechanics are made, in places CEOs never bother to look. They mock the mechanic, but he was always the mastermind.